BRZ Subaru, so two-wheel drive there, 33,242. So we'll have them up here momentarily. Grid's giving them the okay to get fired up, and they'll be up to the line here in just a moment. All right, our first car is coming up to the line. We got Mike Nakata coming up on the right side in that twin, the BRZ FRS, both designations on it in one form or another. He's up on the right with a 33,242 dial in. Eric Hyman on the left side in the GTR with a 30.151. Starter, we're good to go. Okay, a 3.1 second advantage for the BRZ. All shots of 683 for Mike and 774 on the left for Eric Hyman. So a 1/10 advantage in addition to that 3.1 for the right side with Mike Nakata at the wheel. They get to the far end of the course, make the turn to start heading back home. And Eric has eaten up all of that dial-in difference and now is pulling ahead, pulls into that real big difference in the course is the entrance to the slalom, and but right side's back first, but by a slim margin, 135. So at least theoretically, Eric actually has the upper hand here. But Mike Nakata with the advantage on the clock right now of 135. Pulling up into the stage lanes on the opposite sides. Mike now over on the left side, Eric on the right. Oh, great hole shot there for Eric on the right side, a 557. 557. He wiggled a cone. We don't know if it's going to count yet or not. Mike on the left side is 641, so a pretty good one. So safe on that cone for Eric Hyman. He is going for it. And he is definitely pulled out ahead as they come down through those offsets leading into the crossover, and he is definitely ahead, and he's going to be going into that faster right side finish area. That is the part of the course that is the quicker part. And huge win there for Eric Hyman, a 2.7 second win for Eric Hyman, and no breakout for him. So good strong win there for Eric, but no breakout. Just checking on a cone over there on the left side, but the wind was big enough that even with a cone, it would have been A-OK. But just checking a little bit of a movement there on that cone. All right, up at the line, we get Ron Bauer up on the left side with in the Mazda with a dial-in of 31015. On the right side, Lauren Mueller in the Focus with a 32950. Starter, we're good to go. Okay, almost 2 second advantage there, but Bauer tags a cone, the second cone in the course. Well, I'm not counting the 60-foot gate. So early in the course, great hole shot of a 517, but then followed by a cone on the left. Lauren Mueller getting away with a good 591 light as they come out of the turnaround. Mueller still with some of that lead on the tree, had almost 2 seconds. As they get into that faster part, he enters and exits ahead of Ron. So he's going to have a 9:37 advantage on the clock, plus the 2 seconds for the cone, so a 2.9 second advantage for Lauren Mueller. So Lauren Mueller with the big advantage now, moving over to that left side. Even though it's the slower side, he does have a 2.9 second advantage right now over Ron Bauer, who should be coming up on the right side. Drivers are reminded when you go from side to side, no stopping back there to get tire pressures or advice or other such things. Oh, and Ron, knowing he's going to have to go for it, a 420 red light, so a big red light there for Ron. So Lauren Mueller, the automatic winner on the red light. So automatic win there for Lauren Mueller. We'll be ready for our next drivers here as soon as these guys finish up. And that looks like we've got Eric Clements and Joe Austin up on the line, sort of almost at polar ends of the performance spectrum. So again, got Eric Clements on the left with a 29.593 and Joe Austin with a 34.9, so almost 6 seconds there. Started, we're ready to go. Okay, Joe with a great hole shot on reaction time, but then the car bogged really badly, so effectively that was a better start for Eric with a 6.96 reaction time because he got away with good lay down of the power. And Joe looks like he's tagged a cone going into that little wall maneuver. So one cone working for Joe Austin as he works his way into the faster part of the course, between the two courses. Joe's back first with 7.88, but 2 seconds added to that. It becomes a 1.3 second advantage for Eric Clements. And Eric Clements now going 1.2 when you actually do the math. 1.2 for Eric now on the right side as he moves up on that faster right side course. Alrighty, an 880. That's the kind of light you want to cut, actually. You don't want to get too far off your pace, but you don't necessarily need to be challenging the tree when you've got a 1.2 second advantage and you're going on to the side of the course that's 0.8 or so faster. So I'm going to have to watch Eric Clements, and he tags a cone, so now all bets are off. The lead goes back to Joe Austin, and Joe catches a cone. Joe catches another one, so it goes back to Eric, that 1.2. He wins by 1.2 seconds as they had offsetting cones. Boy, back and forth there between the two of them on that one as to who is in the lead. Joe catching the last cone in the course and giving it to Eric. All right, at the line, we got Jeff Clark up on the left side with a 32.368. Ryan Otis over on the right side with a 32.844. Starter, they're all yours. Okay, half-second difference between the two with Ryan having that slight advantage. They get to the turnout point, though, at the end of the slalom, and Jeff Clark had just eaten him up down that front straight. So we'll see if there's other parts of the course that Ryan's quicker on. As they get down to that turn-in point to start heading back towards us, and Ryan's a little bit ahead at that point. Courses are reasonably equal up to about here, and then when you go through the crossover, that right side crossover point comes in a lot sooner, and it's a softer maneuver. So Ryan back first by 1.172, so almost 1.2 second lead for Ryan Otis. Now moving over to the slower left side, Jeff Clark, who had the advantage at the end of the first maneuvers, but now falls down by 1.2. So see what he can do over in that right side course. hole shots here, 7:53 for Jeff Clark, 5:81 for Ryan. Even though he's leading by 1.2, he must be concerned about that left side course as he cuts a great light for having that kind of lead normally. But again, with 8/10 or so differential, and Jeff Clark is definitely pulled out ahead of him, and now he's going to be going into the part of the course that is definitely the faster part, the entrance and exit of the exit of the crossover and the entrance of the slalom is much easier on the right side. All right, Ryan still takes it, though, by a whopping 0.005 of a second. A 0.005 win for Ryan Otis over Jeff Clark, who just put in a great drive, but came up 0.005 short. So Mr. Otis also putting in a good one on that one, starting with a great start. All right, at the line, Brian Colson up on the left, another black vet with a 31.935 dial-in. Richard Ernzale with a 29.593. Starter, all yours. Alrighty, hole shots there. Richard on the right at a 670, a 771 for Brian, so just a 10th separating them, but that may come into play when you realize the last round was won by 0.005 of a second. As they get to the turnout for the crossover, Brian Colson with the advantage, but he's got the more difficult entrance after that to the slalom. But Richard back just a 10.5 ahead, but a cone on the left side, a cone in the slalom for Brian Colson. He got in there real good, but apparently tried to power out a little too quickly and tagged a cone. So Richard with a 2.1 second advantage now. So Richard now with the 2.1 second advantage, but Brian's now on the faster course, and Richard will have to struggle with that slalom entrance. And Brian just trying a little too hard there, 4:18 light, so a big red light there. 82 thousandths early, so he left way ahead there on that one, just pushed it way too hard. So Richard will move on to the next round. Let Richard finish up his run here, and then we'll swap the computer over for the folks that are at the line. Alrighty, we got Cam Withel up on the left side in the Miata. He's got a dial in a 31.833. Wayne Dick over on the right side with the Nissan 350Z, a 34.569. Starter, we're good to go. Alrighty, Wayne coming close to a not staged, but apparently he rolled out after the tree was activated. But that's still disconcerting to you because you're not sure how far you've rolled, so you're not sure what to do. And Wayne ended up with an 865 hole shot and all that brisk, and Cam with a 600, so definitely advantage there at the lights going to the SPB car. And a cone over on the right side for Wayne. So he was back first by about 0.2 of a second, but it becomes a 1.8 second advantage for Cam now that he's moving over to the right side because of that cone. He was down by about 0.2, but now with the cone, it becomes a 1.8 second advantage for Cam now over on that quicker right side course. Wayne having to now challenge that left side and hope that Cam makes a mistake on the cones as well. Okay, all shots here. Wayne with a 742. Cam not appreciating what a 1.8 second lead is with a 5:89 reaction time. Kind of fun to watch newcomers here to Prosolo. They just run as fast as they can. They don't spend a lot of time on strategy. All righty, into the slalom entrance. Cam again with that easier entrance, and looks like he's out for, he stretches it out by another couple of tenths. So Cam Whittle takes it, and in fact it would have been really, really close. I mean, within thousandths between the two if it hadn't been for that cone. So good job there by Cam. Alrighty, up at the line we got Chris Miller on the left side in the mini with a 34.943. Ben Pullen in the now newly named Frisbee with a 34.569. Starter, they're all yours. All right, Ben with a red light there, 46 thousandths too early, a 4.54. Apparently getting a fair bit of rubber down, and folks are getting a really good bite at the line as we're starting to see more red lights as folks push a little harder. Chris Miller, by the way, had a 7.71, so he was being a little bit conservative, and Ben going the opposite direction, being way aggressive in his BRZ. All right, up the line, Northwest Region member Alan Dahl in his Fiesta ST with a 35.153, up against Doug Micko in the Mitsubishi with a 32.368. Starter, we're good to go. Okay, almost a 3-second advantage for Alan in the Fiesta on the left. He cut a 7.75 like Doug Micko, even though he had to sit there for that 3 seconds. 5.86 hole shot. So they worked their way through the crossover the first time and out the far east end of the course. Left side with Alan Dahl, a slight advantage. They start going through the offsets that lead into the crossover. Alan definitely getting into the crossover first, but Doug has got that easier slalom entrance. And Doug is back first by almost 3/10, 279 advantage, so almost a 3/10 advantage, and if the differential is about 8/10, then Alan should feel pretty good about this. But right now it is Doug Micko with a 3/10, or 279, let's give the right number here, 279 advantage on that, now moving to the left side. Alrighty, another good one for Alan. Oh, it was a 672. I misread that. I thought it said 5. 672, not bad, with a 605 for Doug Micko. So the advantage going to him, as he knows he's got to go for it as he's on that tougher left side course. They get to the turn-in point. Alan's got several car lengths at the turnaround point, and through the offsets, he will get to the crossover first and has that easier entrance to the slalom. So right now it looks like Alan's got things in hand, and he does. Alan taking it by 1/10 and a half. Well, it wasn't as close as it was closer than I thought it was going to be, as Doug Micko really powered it in that last section where you can power out of that middle cone of the slalom towards the finish. All right, Bob Bundy up at the line on the left side with a 30.411. On the right, Jerry Jenkins in the vet with a 32.844. Starter, we're good to go. Worker's going to check on a cone on Jerry's side. He had a 672 hole shot to a 768 for Bob Bundy, so a 1/10 of a second advantage on top of his dial-in advantage. Going through the offsets, Jerry's still holding on to a big chunk of that. Into the crossover first, and he's got that early and easier entrance to the slalom as he powers it down to the finish line. He'll have the advantage of 8/10 of a second, 8:14 advantage for Jerry Jenkins. Now Bob Bundy will get his try at that quick right side course, and Jerry will see how he handles that left side. But right now, he's got an 8/10 advantage going over to that left side. Alrighty, Jerry Jenkins with a 6:54. Bob Bundy a tenth quicker. He's got to make up that 8/10ths, and so he's doing part of it at the start line. He got rid of a tenth of it right there at the tree. They get to the turn-in point, and Bob is definitely right with Jerry this time, and now he's going to have the faster finish area, as again the entrance to that slalom is much easier and softer on the right side than on the left. Is it 8/10ths? Looks like it to me, and it is by another 3/10ths beyond that. So Bob Bundy takes it by 3/10ths. So the street mod car will move on to the next round, and Jerry Jenkins, unfortunately for him, is wrapping it up for the weekend. So again, Bob Bundy moving on. All right, at the line we got Ryan Johnson on the left with a 30.868, Mark Smith on the right with a 33.7. Started are all yours. Looks like Ryan had some potentially gearbox transaxle problems as soon as he did a push on the push to go, it just sort of popped into neutral. So an automatic win here for Mark Smith in the Subaru. Mark will go on to the next round as Ryan had mechanical issues right there at the line. So a DNF on the left, and Mark Smith the winner. All right, so Steve Oblenis up on the left will be coming up on the left side in his BRZ, a 33.242, and then Shane Jensen in a Civic SI out of STC, a 33.763. So a half-second spread between these two. Okay, just double checking the start line. Be sure there weren't any leftover Lotus parts there at the start line. Clancy, are we good? Alrighty, we can pull the cars up. We're looking for Steve Oblenis on the left side in that Subaru BRZ. Again, a 33.242 dial in. Shane Jensen on the right, 33.763. So Shane will have a half-second advantage at the start lights. Alrighty, again, we're set on dial-in starter. We're good to go. Okay, great light for Steve Oblenis. A little late getting to the stage area, but he definitely left early. 580, a good hole shot for him. 923 for Shane, so a little sleepy there on the lights on the right side. And I don't think I'd ever want to give Steve a 4/10 advantage. Coming through the offsets leading crossover, Steve ahead getting into the crossover, but again, Shane's got that easier slalom entrance. But Steve Oblenis does it, a 2/10 advantage for Steve Oblenis on that tough left side course. So now Steve will take that advantage to the quick right side. Shane will see if he can somehow find magic over on there on that left side course. All right, Shane cutting a 5:22 light. Steve backing her off a bit with a 7:08, but again, he was leading by 2/10 from the tough left side course, so he may feel he's got a bit of a cushion here. And he does get to the turn-in point to come back towards us before Shane does. And they entered the crossover pretty close to equal, but with Steve with a slight advantage. And again, the big advantage is on the entrance on that right side to the slalom. And he comes back and ends up with a 1.2 second win for Steve Oblenis with a new dial-in. His dial-in will drop to 32.986 from a 33.2, so knocks about 3/10 off of his dial-in. So it'll be a little tougher next time round. So getting all that recorded, and our next pair of drivers up. They actually beat us up here. On the left side, we get Glenn Austin up on the left. And a 34.569, Ricky Crow over the right side with a 33.242. Starter, they're all yours. Okay, a 1.3 second advantage on the tree for Glenn Austin, and he uses that with a 5.95 reaction time to a 7.43 for Ricky Crow, so he adds almost a 1/10.5 more to that right there at the start line. So 1.5 second advantage effectively. They get to the turn-in point pretty close to equal. Glenn with a slight advantage as they come down through the offsets and into the crossover, and Glenn gets to the exit to the crossover first, but looked a little crossed up as he started to accelerate away. Ricky with the quicker side is back, but only by 238.238 advantage for Ricky Crow. Now Glenn gets his shot at the right side course. We've already seen this car win a challenge, as the bonus challenge was won in that car. Okay, whole shots. Another good one for Glenn, 5.99, a 5.51 for Ricky Crow. Ricky, knowing he's got only 2/10 of a second advantage, now moving to that tougher left side course, knows he's got to go for it. As they get to the turn-in point, Glenn with several car lengths lead as they start heading towards us. So the big difference in these courses is right through here is the entrance on the right side to that slalom is significantly softer than on the left side, but a cone on the right side for Glenn. Glenn was back first and would have won by 2/10, but there's a cone on the right for Glenn, so the win goes to Ricky Crow. Ricky taking it on a cone. Okay, up at the line. We get Adam Ruff on the left side in the MX-5 with a 32.6. Dennis Healy on the right with a 32.5. So starter, we're good to go. All right, both kind of leisurely on their whole shots. 7.63 for Adam on the left in the Mazda, and for Dennis Healy on the right, a 32.5. Dial-in, or excuse me, an 803 reaction, so both a little leisurely there, so and pretty close on the dial-in, so this pretty much heads-up competition, even though the cars are significantly different. As they go to the crossover, Adam gets there first in the MX-5, but Dennis has got the easier entrance to the slalom, and through the lights, left side's back first by 38 thousandths of a second. Adam Ruff with the advantage by 38 thousandths over Dennis Healy. All righty, whole shots here, 5.66 for Dennis. He's going for it, a 6.38 for Adam. So that differential just about went away there. So again, pretty much close to heads-up competition on this round, as they were very, very close last time. Adam getting to the turning point just a little bit ahead of Dennis. Dennis actually gets through the offsets better, though, and gets into the crossover first. So they work their way up towards the finish. Dennis Healy takes it by 70 thousandths of a second. 70 thousandths win for Dennis Healy, as he just came out of that slalom, positioned himself just perfectly on the entrance to it, and made use of the slalom on the right side. The left side is actually a little easier. It's the entrance that'll get you. All right, Jim Daniels on the left side. He's in with a 31.015 dial-in. Jim Harnish on the right, 33.763. Starter, they're all yours. Jim Harnish, a little too eager. He's going to hate this one. 492, a 492 red light, so 8 thousandths of a second. I mean, that's just a blink of an eye here. So Jim Harnish, 8 thousandths too quick on the trigger. Jim Daniels making sure that that light was absolutely and utterly green before he moved, and with the automatic win with that green light start. Okay, up at the line, we got Glenn Hernandez up on the left side with a 32.844. On the right, Maurice Melandia with the Subaru with a 34.569. Started, we're good to go. Okay, about a 1.7 second advantage on the tree on dial-ins, going to Maurice on the right side. But a 7:37 reaction time versus Glenn's 5:83 gives away 2/10 of that. Glenn Hernandez working that left side, coming out of the stock rear index class. Maurice out of C Street. As they go through the offsets, Maurice has still got a fair bit of the lead he had on the tree as they powered across the crossover. Glenn pulled it a bit, but then he's got the tougher entrance. And so the right side is back first by 0.6 of a second, 6:35 advantage for the Subaru. Glenn Hernandez needing to make up that 0.6 if he wants to move along in the Super Challenge. So Maurice with that advantage now moving over to that left side in his BRZ. Glenn Hernandez looking to make up that 6.635 difference in his Chevy Corvette on the right. Okay, both are pretty good hole shots, but a little bog for each of them. 5:42 on the left for Maurice, and Glenn on the right, 5:85. So this is going to be close, I suspect, even though Maurice had a 0.6 lead. I'm willing to bet that Glenn is going to be able to maximize that quicker right side course. But right at this moment, Maurice got to the crossover first. See if Glenn can make it up on the exit of the crossover and into that slalom. Needs 0.6. Well, Maurice hung on. 0.4 win, a 4:09 win over Glenn Hernandez. So a 4:09 win for Maurice over Glenn Hernandez. So kind of a bit of an upset win there. All right, our drivers up the line. We got Ken Trindell on the Civic with a 33.763. Jonathan Clements on the right with a 29.5. Starter, they're all yours. All right, Kinch with a 561 hole shot. Jonathan Clements even better with a 523. A great start in that Formula F. All right, through the offsets, Kinch with the advantage still as they go through the crossover. See if that's C-Mod car can reel him in. He gets that early and easier entrance. And the right side is back first by 0.8 exactly. 0.8 advantage on the right side. All right, if someone would check the hood on Kinch's car, apparently it appeared to folks that it wasn't latched. If I can give that a little push. Jonathan Clements with an 0.8 advantage. As we move up to the start lights, he's now over on the left side. Kinch looking to see if he can do the same on the right. But 0.8 exactly is the differential spread between them. All right, Kinch with the advantage at the start of 5.82 to a 6.49, but not by much. Half-tenth or so there, but Jonathan Clements with the advantage of 0.8. They get to the far end of the course, and Kinch gets there way ahead, as you might expect, with the big dial-in difference, but he go through the offsets and into the crossover. Again, he's got to get back 0.8 ahead, and it looks like he's going to do it. Yep, he takes it by a half a second exactly. So an 0.8 exactly lead for Jonathan evaporates, and then becomes a 0.5 exactly win for Kinch Rindell, who move on to the second round of the challenge.
Okay.
All right, up at the line, we get Eric Hyman starting round 2 with a 30.151. Lauren Mueller on the right, 32.950. Starter ready to go. Alrighty, hole shots here. Eric with a 5.61 to a 6.23 for Lauren. Okay, as they battled through there, it looks like Eric started to pull ahead, but again, he's got that tougher entrance to the slalom, but watch that GTR accelerate to the finish. But Lauren Mueller's got the advantage, but only 1/10 of a second, 1/10 advantage. So Lauren Mueller now over on the left side, but he's only got 1/10. Eric Hyman, your top qualifier, coming up on the right side. We're on a slight delay here. We got a call for a cone that might be partway out of the box, so we want to check that all is okay. So we'll do a manual start here. All right, 5.89 for Lauren, 6.58. And then Eric Hyman just mows over the third cone in the slalom, just clobbered it. So one cone for Eric there. Just clobbered that cone. All right, they come into the final slalom. He might have 2 seconds on him. Okay, 2 cones on the right, 1 cone on the right, so effectively a 1 cone penalty for Eric. He won by 1 second on time, so it becomes a 1 second win for Lauren Mueller. As I do that quick math in my head, I'm glad it's whole numbers. So Lauren Mueller in the focus will take that as he had less cone damage than Eric did. All right, up at the line, we get Richard up on the left side in the Swift with a 29.593. Cam on the right with a 31.8. Starter, we're good to go. Kind of a challenging start there for Cam. I'm not sure what happened, 8.18. And then had trouble even getting going after a bit of a delay on the reaction. 560 for Richard, so no grass going under his wheels. But at the turn-in point, Cam's still with a big chunk of it, but watch that Formula Ford start to reel them in as they go towards the crossover. But again, Cam's got the easier entrance into the slalom, and looks like he will be back first. And he is by 0.8 of a second, 0.8 lead for Cam Whittle, now moving over to the left side in the Miata. So 0.8 advantage right now, just shy of that, a 793. So 793 advantage for Cam. Richard now over in that quicker right side course. Okay, a bit better start that time for Cam, a 622 to a 565 for Richard. So Richard's still really in sync there on those starts. So he's doing real well. It needs to make up 0.8 of a second if he hopes to move to the third round. We are down into that second round where we had 16 drivers starting it out, trying to knock it down to 8. Cam gets away first into that, but again, much easier slalom entrance for Richard, and is at 0.8. Not quite. Cam takes it by 24 thousandths of a second, a 24 thousandths win for Cam Whittle in the Mazda Miata. So 24 thousandths is the differential in that last pairing. All right, at the line, Chris Miller on the left side with a 34.9, Alan Dahl on the right, 35.1. Starter, we're good to go. Okay, a couple of rather leisurely lights. Chris Miller with a 996. Alan Dahl on the right with an 889. Having driven a Mini, I suspect he was confused by all the oddball controls that are in a Mini. Probably trying to figure out how to roll the windows down. All right, through the offsets. Alan with the advantage at the exit, and he's going to have it at the entrance of that next slalom too. So Chris Miller got an uphill battle here as Alan is back first by that 0.8 again, 816. So we keep seeing that here in the last few rounds. So Chris Miller now have his shot at the right side course, and Alan Dahl now have to tackle the left side. We'll see which one of these drivers in the lower powered cars. Well, I shouldn't say lower powered with a Fiesta ST. That's a pretty quick car. Okay, pair of 7s there, so a little better for each, sort of average lights now. 745 for Alan and 770 for Chris, each picking up about 1.5 to 0.2 on their reaction, but still being pretty cautious. Chris gets to the turn-in point first. We'll see if he can hold on to it through the offsets, because we know the entrance of the finish slalom is better on the right side. And can he make up the 0.8 he needs? 816 to be exact. Through the finish lights first, and Alan hangs on. 0.2 exactly is the win for Alan Dahl. Alan Dahl in the Ford Fiesta will take the win over Chris Miller. And you can take that 0.2, you add up the differences in reaction times, and it's right at that 0.2. All right, Eric Clements up on the left-hand side with a 29.593. Ryan Otis on the right with a 32.8. Starter, we're good to go. Good pair of starts there. Ryan Otis with a 588. Eric Clements just a bit behind that with a 632. So both drivers getting away not only with good reactions, but getting a good lay of the power down, leaving the line. So Ryan Otis getting to the turn-in point first, but he is in a street class car versus the mod car. But he gets to the entrance of the slalom way ahead, but Watch Eric really scoot through that last part, but Ryan Otis will take a lead of 1.1 going over to that other side. So Ryan Otis with a 1.1 second advantage, but again, he's in a pretty big car, and that entrance to that slalom can be real tricky in a larger vehicle. So we'll see what Eric Clements can do here on the right side. Eric definitely going for it with a 5.55 reaction time to a 6.07 for Ryan. Ryan, a pretty good reaction time, but a half a tenth quicker for Eric. He may need all of that. He's down by 1.1 seconds. They get to the turn-in point, this time just about equal. Last time Ryan had several car lengths on Eric as they exit. Ryan with a little bit of an advantage coming out, but into that slalom, he definitely gets there first. Going to get back a full second ahead. Nope, Ryan Otis takes it by half a half-second win for Ryan Otis, 5.04. So Ryan Otis will go into round 3. All right, up at the line, we got Bob Bundy on the left side in that SSM car, a 30.4. Mark Smith on the right with a 33.7. Starter, we're good to go. Okay, just about equal here. 7:13 left, 7:19 right on reaction time. So no real story there. Dial-in differences, about 3.5 seconds between them, with Mark in the Subaru having that advantage. We'll see how Bob Bundy starts to reel him in that Super Street Mod car. But going to the crossover, Mark gets there first. Boy, a big advantage coming down into the finish lights. Mark in with a 1.3 second advantage, 1.289 to be exact. We'll call it 1.3 lead for Mark Smith over Bob Bundy. Now Bob's got those big tires all heated up, and with a car with that much power, probably makes a bit of a difference. So Bob Bundy now over on the right side, trying to make up that 1.3 seconds. Okay, whole shots, 7:13 on the right for Bob. Mark Smith with a 5.70. So that's really not the way to try to make up 1.3 seconds by giving a little bit more away at the start line. It's Bob Bundy coming into that crossover and into that easier slalom entrance. He needs 1.3 seconds. He's really going to have to scoot. I don't think he's got it. Nope, he only made up about a tenth of it. So Mark Smith takes the win and gets a new dial-in of a 33.2. So he knocks a half a second off his dial-in in that win. So a half a second improvement in dial-in for Mark Smith. All right, up at the line, we got our twins matchup, BRZ on the left side, FRS on the right. A 32.986 on the left side for Steve Oblenis, and on the right for Ricky Crow, a 33.242. Starter, they're all yours. If you're wondering why these two STX cars do not have the same dial-in, Steve Oblenis broke out last time on round 1, so his dial-in dropped. But it dropped just for him. The rest of the class, until they match that kind of performance, they stay with their original one. So in theory, the advantage at the moment swings to Ricky, but never count Steve out. All right, Ricky Crow now with the quicker right side course. He's definitely back first, and he has almost a 1.1 second advantage, a 1.1 second lead right now for Ricky Crow. All right, our twins matchup here. Ricky Crow on the left has the advantage right now. And Ricky going for it, even with a 1.1 second advantage. He cuts a 5.63 light. Steve Oblenis with a 6.17. I believe Ricky thinks that he's going to need every bit of this to hold off Steve Oblenis now that Steve is on that quicker right side course. As they come down to the turn-in point, Steve gets there a couple of car lengths ahead of him. Through the offsets leading to the crossover, Steve gets into the crossover first and now has that faster entrance to the slalom. He needs 1.1 seconds. Boy, he's got a, looks like it. Yep, he wins by 19 thousandths of a second, a 19 thousandths win for Steve Oblenis. So Ricky was right to go for it on that start. 19 thousandths is the win for Steve Oblenis. All right, next pair, we get Dennis Healy on the left with a 32.5. On the right, Jim Daniels with a 31.0. Started, we're good to go. All right, 7.72 on the left for Dennis, 6.26 on the right side for Jim Daniels. So a 10.5 advantage right there on reaction time at the lights. Dial-in difference, a 2.5 advantage for Dennis Healy in the Mustang, but Jim Daniels looks like he's almost made all of that up, and he's going to pull ahead as he goes into this exit of the turnaround or the crossover. And he is back first by 0.8 of a second. That 0.8 we keep seeing. 8.18, 8.18. Oh, and a cone on the left side, a cone for Dennis Healy in that slalom. So it becomes a 2.8 second lead for Jim Daniels. All right, whole shots here. 6.23 for Dennis, 7.46 for Jim. Jim with a 2.8 second lead can afford to be a little bit more cautious on the start. Looks like we got a cone down. All right, looks like Jim Daniels is back first with a 1.6 second win. Station 4 on the right side near the start line. We've got one of the cones in the slalom appear like it was nudged a bit. If you can check your cones in the slalom before we start this next pair. Dennis Healy nudged it a little bit, it looked like. Jim Daniels taking that win, by the way, in the Miata, as we got sidetracked on the cone there a bit. Up the line, our last pair of drivers in round 2. We get Maurice Melandia on the left side with a 34.569. Ken Trindell on the right with a 33.7. Starter, they're all yours. All right, red light by 29 thousandths. That really hurts when it's in that 20 to 30 thousandths. 471 to a 565 for Ken Trindell. Kinch was definitely being aggressive at the starts, and as was Maurice, but just 29 thousandths too aggressive on that left side. So we'll move on to the next round here. This starts round 3, so we are down to 8 drivers at this point, so things will move along really quickly towards that top eliminator round. All right, up at the line, we got Lauren Mueller on the left side with a 32.950. On the right, Ryan Otis with a 32.8. Starter, we're good to go. Just a 10th advantage on the tree on dial-in to Lauren on the left with a 674 hole shot, 612 for Ryan Otis, so he made up most of that difference right there at the start line. So this is pretty much a dead heat at this juncture. As they go around the far sweeper at the far end and into that turn-in point, Ryan Otis with the advantage, see if he can hold it through the offsets. And they exit it almost synchronized, but at this point Ryan should start to stretch it out, see how much of a lead he can get going into that second run. 8/10 again, 838 advantage for Ryan Otis. Now Lauren will get his shot at that right side course, see if he can find that same 8/10. Oh, no, I meant on any round. All right, hole shots here. Ryan Otis with an 8/10 advantage. Still cuts a good light, 553. All right, Lauren Mueller on the right, a 625 as they come into the crossover. Again, Lauren needing to make up 8/10 of a second. Boy, it looks like it's going to be tough to do as Ryan is really flying here. Ryan Otis takes it by a second. He stretches it out, actually, by 2 more tenths. Ryan Otis will go into the final 4. And they're checking on a cone that got wiggled, but don't believe it's out of the box. All right, up at the line, we got Cam up on the left side in the Miata with a 31.8. Alan Dahl on the right with a 35.1. Started, we're good to go. All right, pair of sixes on reaction time. Cam on the left side with a 619. Alan Dahl right side 680. But more importantly, Alan had a big lead on the dial-in, and he's still holding on to a big chunk of it as Cam starts to reel him in. But this is going to be tough in this section of the course to do it. Alan back first by 5/10, 5.5 tenths, 5.53 to be exact. So 5.5 tenths lead for Alan Dahl. Now Cam gets his shot at the quicker right side course. See if he can find 5 or 6 tenths here and make this real interesting. Cam now over on the right side, and Alan over on the left. All right, hole shot, 671 right, 672 left, so we'll call that a wash. Again, Cam trying to make up that 5.5 tenths advantage that Alan Dahl had when he was over on the right side. Alan, as they get to the turn-in point, Alan there a little bit ahead, but Cam right there behind him, maybe a car length behind. As they get through the crossover, Alan got into the crossover first, but again, Cam gets that really good exit. And Cam is definitely back first, and he'll take the win by 5.5 tenths. So he made it up and gained another 5.5 tenths. So Cam Withel with a 5.5 tenths win here in third round, moving into the third round here now. All right, Mark Smith up on the left side, 33.2, and on the right, Steve Oblenis with a 32.9. Started, we're good to go. righty, 6:47 to 6:47. So I thought the other one was close. This one dead on reaction times between Mark Smith and Steve Oblenis. Steve getting to the turn-in point for the return ahead of Mark through the offsets and gets into the crossover first. And he's definitely going to come out of the crossover in better position on that right side. And he is back first by 1.4 seconds, almost 1.5. So a second-and-a-half second lead now. And if he kept that pace up, his breakout would be by 0.7 of a second. And Steve is already working on a breakout. He's got a revised dial-in, I should say. And that run was strong enough to potentially earn him another one. So we'll see what he does here with a second-and-a-half lead over Mark Smith. Okay, Steve Oblenis, 6:01 to a 5:95. So again, really close between these two, except for the differential from last time. Steve Oblenis with a huge 1.5 second lead. Now Mark Smith gets there first, but not by a lot, maybe a car length or two through the offsets. And as they go into the crossover, Steve Oblenis equal with him. But again, Mark Smith gets that easier entrance, and he needs a second and a half though. Doesn't quite get it there. He makes up a second of it. A 6:31 win for Steve Oblenis. He will go into the top four. Steve Oblenis with a 6/10 win. And no breakout on it. He was running way into breakout territory on the right, but pulled it back on the left and comes away with a 6/10 win. All right, on the line, Jim Daniels with a 31.0 dial-in. Kinch with a 33.7. Starter, we're good to go. And Jim Daniels, too quick on the trigger. Saw Jim Harnish do this earlier, 478, a 22 thousandths too early. 22 thousandths too soon, so Kinch Rindell with a 509 light. Kinch just keeps cutting those fives. Kinch goes into the final four. He'll be matched up against Steve Oblenis. Boy, that's going to be a matchup. All right, but our first one is going to be Ryan Otis up against Cam, and I believe Cam, this may be his first Prosolo event, I believe. So we'll be looking for Ryan Otis up on the left with a 32.8 dial-in. Cam a second quicker with a 31.8. So Ryan will get to leave first by a second. And starter, whenever they're staged up, we're ready to go. All right, pair of sixes here, 665 for Cam on the right, 650 on the left for Ryan. And again, Ryan with that 1 second advantage on the dial-in, so the tree coming down 2 lights ahead of him, ahead of Cam that is. They get to the turn-in point though. Cam gets there first, going through the offsets. The exit in the crossover, Cam with the advantage there, and he'll have the advantage coming out. So we'll see how much of a lead Cam can stretch out there. He's going to need all he can get. And he ends up with a 1.3 second lead. 1.3 second lead over Ryan Otis. That is not what we expected. And Cam running in breakout territory as well. 1.3 second advantage and running at breakneck speed that may cause him to break out. But we'll worry about that after he finishes this run. And he's still got to fend off Ryan Otis, who gets his shot at that right side course. All right, pair of sevens here in reaction time, so not much story there. The big one is Cam Whittle on the left with a 1.3 second advantage. Ryan Otis just going to have to go for it now if he hopes to get into that top eliminator round. We're going to see both these drivers again, either as the top eliminators or in the runoff round for third place. And Ryan holding on to a fair bit of a lead now as they come to that, but then in the offsets, Ryan reeled them in, but then once again, Ryan can stretch it out a little bit. Here coming into the finish is at 1.3. Not Cam takes it by 0.6 of a second. A 0.6 win for Cam Whittle will go into the top eliminator round, and he will do it with a new dial-in of a 31.222. So he knocked 0.6 off his dial-in. So it's going to be a little tougher for Cam when he gets into that top eliminator round against either Steve Oblenis or Ken Trindell. So whoever he gets, he's got a top competitor to run against. Cam, I believe, a rookie to Prosolo. So it's great to see so many of these newcomers doing well here this weekend. So Cam Whittle will be in that top eliminator round against either Steve Oblenis, who will be coming up on the left side here momentarily with a 32.986 dial-in. That's a new and improved dial-in for him. Ken Trindell with the same 33.763 as he's had a couple of red light wins. So again, looking for that second pair of drivers. They should be up here momentarily as Kinch just finished a couple of moments ago. Yep, here they are. Steve on the left, as we suspected, with a 32.9. Kinch on the right with a 33.7. Starter, we're good to go. Okay, Kinch with the last minute turn the camera on during staging. 5:32 reaction time. Nothing seems to bother him. 6:32 for Steve Oblenis, and Steve with a cone down. Cone at the end of the slalom at the beginning. So Ken Trindell immediately with the advantage. We'll see if Kinch can stay off the cones. He runs a really tight line most of the time, so he's always close. Yeah, one cone on the left side here for Steve. Kinch in first by 1.5 seconds plus the cones. So a 3.5 second advantage for Ken Trindell as he moves to the left side, and Kinch running at breakout territory as well. So again, a 3.5 second advantage for Kinch now over on the left side. All right, Kinch. We've seen him before with that big a lead. 8:41. Steve Oblenis going for it with a 5:55. We got more cars to go, Clancy. It's taking a union break. All right, into the finish lights. Steve back first. Kinch sort of stroking a bit. A 1.1 second win for Ken Trindell. Kinch with a 1.1 second win, being careful about the breakout. So it will be Cam Whittle in the Miata up against Ken Trindell in the Civic. And Ryan Otis and Steve Oblenis will match up here in the runoff round for third place, and your top is down. Okay, we should be seeing Ryan and Steve up here in a moment, and keep in mind you do get a timeout during the challenges, but it's a fairly brief one, just a couple of minutes. So the concept is, if you're here to play, you got to be ready to play. So again, Ryan Otis will be coming up on the left in the Chevy Corvette with a 32.2. Steve Ablenis on the right in the Subaru BRZ with a 32.9. So 7/10 advantage on the tree for Steve Ablenis based on those dial-ins. Okay, we see cars. We got Ryan on the left side, 32.2. Steve on the right, 32.9. Starter, we're good whenever they are. All right, hole shots here. 7:06 for Ryan on the left side, a little leisurely there. Steve Ablenis keeping in form with a 5:79 reaction time. He's had a whole series of fives throughout the Super Challenge. Steve definitely gets to the turnaround point first. And into the crossover, definitely Steve looks like he's going to be back first. And he is, by 1.7 seconds. That's one of the biggest margins we've seen. A 1.7 second margin, and Steve running at a breakout, not that it matters at this point, of almost 6/10 on that one side. All right, pair of fives here, 5:32 for Steve Ablenis, keeping in form. 5:84 for Ryan Otis. So we'll see if Ryan's going to have to pretty much hope for a cone at this point, because 1.7 is really going to be tough to make up on Steve Ablenis, particularly when you get to the turnaround point at about the same time. He needed to have a really big lead. In fact, Steve gets to the crossover first. So he works his way into that slalom for the final time for both drivers. Ryan back first, but not nearly enough. 1 second win for Steve Ablenis. Steve will take third place overall by 1 second over Ryan Otis. Sorry about that. The mic went off for a second. Cam Whittle at the line on the left side for a 31.2. Dial-in, and Ken Trindell on the right, 33.7. Starter, they're all yours. Okay, 6:01 for Kinch, 7:10 for Cam, so Kinch with that 10th advantage. And obviously the experience advantage, as Ken Trindell has been running these events for a lot of years. Cam, a relative newcomer. Kinch definitely gets to the turnaround point far ahead of Cam as they start to work their way into the crossover. Cam's starting to reel him in a bit, but Kinch looking strong into the finish. He is back first by 1 second, 1.1 second advantage for Ken Trindell. Now Cam gets to move to that right side course and see if he can do something over there. He needs 1 second, one final run for each of these drivers.